Good afternoon. It seems like we've lost a lot of people to lunch, but that's okay. My name is Sabrina. I am working with Moving Windmills, and shortly I will allow William over here to introduce himself, and we're going to do about 30 minutes of Q&As between me and William, and then we'll invite anyone that would like to interact or ask questions for about 20 minutes after that. All right, let's get into it. So, William, your story of building a windmill from scraps so that you can bring water and electricity to your family spread like wildfire. But to those in the audience that don't know your story or don't know how you've ended up founding Moving Windmills and working to do community development in Malawi, could you tell us a little bit more about your background?
Thank you. It's such a great honor this afternoon to be here. Welcome all of you who are watching like online. I guess like some people are watching online, and also all of you here. It's such an honor to be here. I'm very excited to share how I started and what we are doing in Malawi. I started my work when I was younger. In Malawi, I grew up in a farming community. So water is great need, but also like drinking water, it's also like very important. But to say the work that we are doing in Malawi, that work started with the response to a lot of questions that people were asking me. What do you wish you had when you were building your windmill? Because I built a windmill when I was younger, when I was 14. That windmill was, the idea was to build a windmill to pump water for irrigation. As I said, that the majority of the people in Malawi are farmers, depending on growing their own food. So it's land-fed agriculture, which is very difficult sometimes. Some years we have good rain, some years it's some drought, some years flooding. It just like depends. So as a farmer, you have to you have like to, sometimes you need to play to make sure that all those conditions would be suitable for farming. So in 2000 to 2001, we had a drought. Because of that, a lot of people didn't harvest enough crop. As the results, people ran out of food very quickly. It was the same time that I was supposed to study high school, but because of the situation, I started thinking, what can I do? Reading like some books. That's when I came up with the idea of building a windmill. So since starting that, I've been like seeing there's still a lot of like challenges, and starting Moving Windmills organization was like response, how could we use simple tools and working with young people to design a solution to everyday's like challenge. That's how we started the Moving Windmills organization.
Amazing. And today we're going to be talking about, interestingly enough, football pitches. But before we get into why football pitches, I want to understand if you can help us with some information about what are the challenges currently in Malawi, especially in rural Malawi, because we're based in Kasungu. What are the challenges in maintaining hygiene and safety when it comes to water and water access or lack thereof?
One of the challenges being in rural areas in Malawi, it's not many places that you could find clean running water, even for drinking. Even if you find a place like in the some urban areas, it's not always like consistent. Sometimes you have a problem with the water that is not little filtered, and sometimes it's like it's not like always like available at any time. So finding like infrastructure that support community, either it's like a place where the community are gathering, to find that place with the hygiene, like place, toilets, or stands for people to just like wash hands. It's always difficult to find those type of like places. So the work that we are doing, we are always like making sure that in area where we work, we should always have clean water that people can use, either like for hygiene use, washing hands, or using it like for toilets. All those we have like to have it.
We had a debate earlier about why water is a scarce resource in Malawi. Could you expand on why this is the case? I was under the impression it's because Malawi is a landlocked country and Lake Malawi is like the main provider, but you had a different idea about what the problem is. Could you expand a little bit?
Yeah, it's sometimes it's very like difficult to live in the country where 1/3 of the one side of the nation, it's the third largest lake, freshwater lake, and in the same country where a lot of people little struggle to find water. One of it is like because the process of getting that water to people, it's very difficult, or either it's like we don't have the will to do it. On the ground, there's plenty of water. If you could find the ways of like digging those wells and pumping it and being able like to know how like to treat it, the water will be plenty. Even like for agriculture, if you are using it sustainably, you should be. I don't think we should be very like worried about water, because it's the same thing that in 1 year you could find the same year you have drought, the same year you can have like flooding. So finding like water management, I think it's one of the areas that we are struggling to find a better solution in terms of getting like that water to people to use in different areas.
And this is why you want to establish a more innovative approach towards that. Mm-hmm. So coming into that, why football pitches? How are these football pitches going to address local health challenges in Malawi?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, because when people just think of football pitches, they are only thinking of the sports that you are playing there. But we really think about like a football pitch, apart from the entertainment of like the game, those who love like the game, or different sports that can be played on the pitch. But it also in the communities in Malawi, where you don't have many infrastructures for people to gather, football pitches become the place where, if anything is happening, a lot of people gather on the football pitches. If they are trying to do vaccine distribution, most of the time they'll try to bring people to the football pitch. If there's an outbreak, most of the time they'll try to use the stadiums to be able like to control people. But the challenge is that sometimes those football pitches, they are not designed in the mind of like to be used as the health, that you can use those as like hub for health services. They are just like being used as a place like for football. So you are not thinking in terms of the hygiene or like the other facilities that can support large number of people when they are coming to that facility. So we thought that if we can have a football pitch, one, it's already a place where most people gather, talk about like things happening in the area, or doing like whenever there's a certain like service, that's like the area. But what if we are able like to have that football pitch and also have some other supporting facilities where we could be able to have a cold storage that we can put up, like either it's like a vaccine that is happening, you have like that, and we can be able like to do it. We have like a football pitch designing that the hygiene, you have like a water that people can wash hands. It's also like available there. So it can be a place that it's multifunctional. It can function in terms of health, bringing like people together to do the work that is needed, but it's also, it's not in confined place, but it's sort of like open place that if there's the outbreak, you are not getting people in one in one room, in confined room, but it's like open space with the supporting facilities to be able to help people with the different areas in terms of like health. So that's why we thought of if we can be able to have this football pitch, then we'll be able to handle all those other health needs that can happen or that sometimes happen in the area.
That sounds extremely interesting and innovative, if I don't say so myself. I'm actually thinking about the psychological purpose of using these, what I think most people would call third spaces for society. Because one of the studies that I recently read was talking about how a large majority of people in Malawi in the rural areas do not really trust public health services sometimes, or have a hard time trusting pharmaceutical medicines, whether they're like real or whether they're not real, and they're kind of scared almost of going to hospitals. Could you talk about what is how does this model benefit rural communities and kind of like open up space for welcoming people in a much more comfortable way and have a much more better relationship with health services?
With the space of like the football pitch, it's the place that they always already like go there. So they know like the people that they are learning it, and they would be able like to understand that this is if we are going to the place that we go like anyway. So it's not gonna be a strange place. They know that it's their own like place that they trusted, and if the program is coming in, like we have traveling doctors, mobile doctors, they are coming like to that facility. They know what at the facility we have, and they'll be able like to trust more rather than going to some other places that they don't really know. So the first is to be able to get people involved, that we are constructing this. It's gonna be, we're gonna use it in different like ways, not only like just like for football, but if we are using it like for administration like vaccine, it's gonna be like this place. So it's a place that they will be able like to trust it, and because they already seen like the facility. So that's why we want to be able to do it in the way that to connect people first before we are building it, like to know that it's their space that they can be able to use.
And now I want to ask you about the cultural norms and how, because when we say rural, could you give a little bit more context of Kasungu and the area and the location and the aspect of mobility and accessibility to these services? Could you dig a little bit deeper about the cultural and social norms and how they will influence the success of this dual purpose space?
Yeah, in the rural areas, like it's talking about like a Kasungu, sometimes it can be harder like from people that they are in different parts of the area to get to a certain like places. But if you put like a place that it's not like intimidating for people to come, they will be able like to come it. So we want to have like a place that it's open and that it can be easily accessible through either people are using like bicycles, which is like most way that people are using like for mobility in Malawi. So we want a little, the way that we are doing, we want to be integrated in terms of the accessibility. So we are using a lot of electric motorcycles and the electric bikes. So we do some of it, like we convert ourselves. So that is place we're also going to have like sort of like charging station that if somebody is using the electric cycle, they'll come and charge. So we'll have all that facility for people to be able to use.
It feels like every time I come to Malawi, you've built a new solar farm. I want to now talk about what are the things that are happening now in terms of starting the work on hygiene and starting the work on water sanitation and awareness of the use of, you had these purification kits that you were collaborating with Nancy Quick from the University of North Carolina. Could you talk a little bit more about that project and what's been going on there, and what's your experience in digging wells and managing communal taps, and how you even started buying your own drilling machines and getting to that?
I think I'll go back a little bit. I think I need to give out like more background like information like to people. So the work that we are doing, our main goal is to build the innovation center, a space where we could be able to invite younger people to design a solution to their everyday challenge. So at that innovation center, we're gonna have the well-equipped machine shop that we will be able to use to design different parts. We will be able to have cold storage, because we're gonna also be able to grow at the innovation center. So we will have all this, and in order for us to be able to build this innovation center, we thought that we should start by building community hubs. So we have 5 community hubs. Each community hub is surrounded the area that we're gonna build our innovation center. So it's the community hub will act as the pipeline for future innovators that will come to the innovation center. So the idea is that people that are using the community hubs, they need to have like all the necessary facilities that they can be able like to use their work. We have at every hub, we have clean drinking water that they can use, and we do water filtration in those community hubs. But also we have like information access to, people can have access to information, the internet or books, to do different design in agriculture. So that's why one part of that, the innovation center we want to build, the other part, apart from the machine shop and the greenhouse, we also, it's the place that we're gonna build the football pitch. So I want to make sure like to connect, why are we building like the football pitch? People might like wonder, but it has like the purpose. The purpose is that in healthy experts of it, we will be able like to bring people. So we are doing a lot in terms of water. Every place that we build our own community hub, we have to have clean water that we are using, but also using the same water for irrigation, for drip irrigation to grow. The goal is that once the innovation hub is up and running, we should be able to design different parts for farming. As I said, majority of the people in Malawi are farmers. So we want to make sure that we could do things that could promote making farming more easily and exciting for young people, where right now it's not very easy. So we want to change that. Yeah.
There's a saying that I finally learned after 2 years in Malawi, Madzi ndi moyo.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
What is life? Madzi ndi moyo. Yeah. Yeah, we have that one, yeah.
Yes, and we'll end that there. And would like to open the floor for questions from the crowd, if there's any. Yes.
Thank you so much. This is like fascinating, and personally I've run into this, but in a different country context in Latin America, and so it's exciting, I think, to see that like the world over, football unites us. Thank you so much. And I was curious, like, what is the approach to a
Should I repeat the question in case anyone? So the question was, how do you go into a town? How do you get the buy-in from the community? How do you assess what's needed, and how does that go?
Yeah. For like a new town, I think what we are looking at like doing, it's like building one innovation center at one town, but those community hubs act as the hubs to the other one. The goal is that we will also gonna have like housing that we'll be able to bring in other people from other parts of the country or Malawi, bring them at the innovation center to do the work that they want. But we also want to have mobile like workshop. If we want to go do some other work in other community, we'll go have there like having like a mobile one. That's the goal that we want to do. But in everything, every work that we do, we also do with the community in mind. The community are always like involved. So we make sure that everybody in the community is contributing. So all of our hub that we built, we just didn't build it by ourselves, but also the community was part of like building like the process. So to know that it's not our thing, but it's not like moving windmills thing, but it's our thing as a like community. All the community feels like they are taking part. So we ask them like question to see if this is gonna be useful. So that's how we are doing like our work.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah.
Okay. What group, like in the community, is normally the group that, like, you envision that like takes responsibility for like the upkeep and like the maintenance of the new functions of the pitch?
The group that will participate will be the people that are using, so younger people who are using like the football pitch, but also the leaders in the community, because it's not like our only like our pitch, but either if the chief in the area they want to have like a ceremony, that is the place that they can do. So we'll make sure that to have also like a committee that is learning that place there, making sure that it's maintained at all time.
Thank you. And I can see there's a question here in the corner.
Sorry. Thank you very much. First, let me say, Mulibwanji.
Ndiliwino.
Yeah, so my name is Kondwan Chidziwisano from the Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences. It's quite interesting to hear your presentation, more especially about the innovations that you're talking about. So first I want to know, these innovation centers that you are establishing, where are they specifically? And are they in one place or it's across the whole country? Okay. But also, are you looking at a specific kind of an innovation or a range of innovations? And are these innovations related to water, sanitation, and hygiene? If such is the case, how? I'm asking this because if you look at the element of wash, one of the challenges that we have is to do with, for example, coming up with context-specific, maybe hand-washing facilities that communities can use in rural areas that are affordable, but we can address that problem through maybe coming up with innovations, which is related to what you're trying to do. So I just want to see what kind of innovations you're trying to come up with. But also our institution, our university has an innovation center, which is also trying to improve innovations, especially targeting the youth. So since you're also interested on issues of innovation, maybe it's also an opportunity to work with existing academic institutions, more especially those that are interested also in coming up with innovation so that together maybe we can improve the livelihoods of people in the country. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for your questions. First of all, we want to build the innovation center in Kasungu. That's going to be the place we're going to build the innovation center. So the innovation center that we will have, we're also going to have housing, that we're going to bring in a lot of young people from all over Malawi, that they'll have safe places that they can be on campus for given number of like maybe 2 months at a time. And the community hub that we have built them all around Kasungu. The goal for Innovation Center is that as Moving Windmills project, we believe that talent is universal, but opportunities are not. So we want to bridge the gap of having an idea and to actually work on that idea. I know that there are so many talented young people who have an idea, but their ideas don't go favor because lack of like resources that they could use. One of the questions that I always get from people, most of the time they ask me, what do you wish you had when you were building your windmill? My response most of the time, I wish if I had a space with the tools that I needed to use, but also space where I could find a mentorship to help me, guide me through the work that I was doing. So the innovation that we are looking at, we are first also looking heavily into innovating in agriculture. Agriculture is the #1 employer in Malawi, but we still, each and every year, we still struggle to feed our population. One, because the farming is not very efficient, not very exciting. What if we have like a space where people could design simple solution, either if you want to plant your soybeans, instead of planting one by hand, you are using simple, the technology is already there. You design like simple planter, you are finishing 1 acre by a day. That will reduce the time that people are spending. So we are looking at building the innovation center that is gonna be catering to the youth that are interested in designing or building any kind of innovation. We did the pilot out. We worked with another organization called, it's called the Smoke Free World. We did this pilot. We gave the young people a challenge in terms of the challenge that the groundnuts farmer face, peanut farmers face in Malawi, come up with like solution. So there were interests from multiple people, university student, graduate, and some secondary school student, primary student. One of the winners on that competition was actually a primary school student. He came up with very simple ways of plucking the peanuts. Instead of like now what the people do, they do one by one by hand. But that young man designed like something that it was very simple, that you could do that in a very short time of period. So we had like, we learned the class to teach people how to use using like human-centered design. So when he come up with like a speech, and then we learned that workshop in terms of the human-centered design. Second time when he implement his prototype, it was way different in terms of like design that changed the way people in his area were plucking like peanuts. So to say that it's like if you really give out like a space and opportunity to these young people, it's a lot of other innovation that they're gonna be able like to come up. We are looking into innovating that is gonna change people's life.
And in terms of an example of a WASH project that we're doing right now, we have started where we are, and where we are right now is we need to do some awareness when it comes to, we're trying a project that's called clear does not necessarily mean clean. And that's something that we've been piloting with the community into kind of like asking ourselves questions about like, what are the sources of water? And this is something that we're working with Nancy Quick, who teaches at UNC. What are the sources of water? Making people understand what are the contaminants that can happen through that, I want to say supply chain, through that chain until they come into the borehole and you're drinking the water. Because there's this preconception in the rural community that we exist in that tap water, because it looks clear, then that is clean, but then there's all these contaminants that it's hard to translate to a community that doesn't necessarily have that and like hasn't made that connection. And so we're disseminating buckets that have filtration systems that are very simple, but we're building in that kind of like follow-up and that kind of communication piece that is required, because you can't just give it and then expect people will use it. And so we're doing at least 2 follow-ups to begin with to understand whether people still use the bucket filtration systems and whether it improves livelihoods, and measuring the impact of that and the trickle effects. So yeah, so we're a little bit nascent in this field, but we see a really important step in what we're doing. And then we'll follow up with kind of like build on top of that, which is kind of how we do most of our community development projects.
Hi, I'm Marissa from ERVAC, from our Swiss Water Research Institute. So first of all, I think 5 years ago or so, I watched the movie and I was like super impressed really about the whole work you've done at such a young age. So first of all, yeah, really nice to be here. I'm very grateful to be here. My question is about how are these innovation centers financed, and like how are the innovations that are created in these centers, how do you support these people? And also on a long term, like maybe if they want to upscale the innovations, how exactly does this work?
The innovation centers, it's one innovation center that we're gonna build. Right now we are fundraising for that innovation center. But the other, we have community hubs. So the community hubs are pipeline for the young people who gonna come through it to go to the innovation center. So the community hubs are built surrounding the area that we're gonna build the community. We're gonna build the community. We're gonna build the innovation center. So we are working with the different NGOs to support the innovation center. We are working with the mass design firm. They have offices in Massachusetts. Pro bono, they're gonna design it for us. And also, they have also offices in Rwanda. We are working with them and some other organization that they are supporting the moving windmills to be able to build that. The goal is that once the innovation center it's being built and start learning, we'll be able to bring in young people, have like a competition that will come in from all over Malawi, but they can also be able to connect with other students from other people from all over the world, other students from here. We can connect them to design and build the project that is gonna solve like some problems, either in agriculture. We will make sure that we support them if they design like something, support them, and to the way that it can get implemented, and they can be able like to come back to see how it's working, and if it's working or if it's not working, what can be changed. So it's gonna be all like follow up. So this cohort that comes in like this year, they can come up as after they come back second time, they'll be like more of like supervisors. So that's the model that we are looking for. But also for the other people who just want to use the facility, they're gonna be able to, they will be able like to pay. We have ideas how much somebody can be able like to use the facility. And that's why we also, as we want to do work in agriculture, we'll be able to grow our own, that we are training other people, and then we can be able to process it and being able like to sell to other areas. So that's the area that we are seeing will be able like to sustain the innovation center once it's being built.
So essentially, we're conveners of people. We are like I would say, a nonprofit marketplace where we bring the side of talent that is ready to get mentorship, and this hubs have been this like point where community members can meet and actually exchange. And so we work with public schools, we work with government, we work with really amazing individuals. We've been really lucky to actually be able to be flexible and find people that match us in terms of values and in terms of passion and vision and impact. And we work with them to identify, well, people self-identify, and then we connect. So for example, we had an exchange program with Castle University where they took some apprentices that we had to Saudi Arabia to like look at the facilities, learn about waste and water management over there. And we just connect people together, and this really ends up developing something very beautiful. And so when we realize that we need a much more concrete and better scale so that people can actually meet and convene and talk at the same time for longer periods of time, that's when we said that we're ready now for the Innovation Center and the first phase, because now we're at phase zero. Yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Definitely. But yeah, great work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Andres. I'm from Colombia. I work with ACO, Data for Development Organization. I came here for the word football, so definitely a uniting factor, and I feel very honored, same as our colleague. I watched the movie as well, and I was very inspired, so thank you for your inspiration. And it was a great surprise to be here. So my question is regarding, can you maybe elaborate a little bit on like the core values that the model has? You were talking about how it aligns to many like people and investors and mentors, but like, is there like, what are the core values you follow, and if there's a methodology, like educational/innovation methodology that you follow as well? I would love to know more about it.
So our core values, and if I get this wrong, my colleagues will make sure to tell me. So we believe in human-centered design. We believe that the people who are capable of solving the problems are the people that are facing the problems. We believe that everyone has something to add to the table. We also believe that technology must be appropriate for the context. So we don't bring fancy technology that doesn't work in our specific context in Kasungu, Malawi. And the last one William also mentioned is that talent is universal. It's just opportunity that's rare. And also we believe in exchange and learning and ever learning. So we're people who are constantly learning and constantly exchanging ideas with other people. And we try to constantly found all our projects and our belief systems in these values, and make sure that everyone we work with and our community understand that this is what we hold, and we hold them very closely and very dearly. And this allows us to be able to say no when things are not aligned, or when opportunities that present themselves are like not really up to what we believe in. And that keeps us very on the true north. So I'm very grateful to be able to like say that and stand by that. And in terms of our model, we kind of had a picture over there that was talking about like, we iterate, people come up with ideas, they iterate them, and like, we don't kind of like hem and how, like it's very much based on William's personality style, where it's like, you want to do something, you start where you are, you use the resources that you get, and you try it, and you allow room to fail, because that's part of the entrepreneurship, that's part of the innovation and the creativity. And we invite people to work together. So collaboration is very, very key in our experiential learning programs and things that we do. And then that experiential learning part is it's in itself such an essential part in what we do. So even us who are kind of like I would say core team or management team, we're also learning as we go, right? Because we're getting feedback, we're putting back out there questions, and it's kind of like a back and forth and holding hands together. And then we put it into practice. We see, is this useful for the community? Because at the end of the day, community is the thing that is the most important. We're doing this for a purpose. And so innovation doesn't really stand alone outside of that kind of like circle of try, fail, involve other people, see if it's functional for the community. Like, it's kind of like a circle that keeps developing itself. Hope I answered the question. Okay. There was a question over there.
I am Saidu Kano from World Hope International, Sierra Leone. I'm really happy about the work you are doing in rural areas. I would like to learn from this group about what we are doing to sustain some of the work that we are doing in rural areas, especially in the area of operation and maintenance. Sometimes we spend a lot of money putting systems in place, like solar power system or hand pumps or more expensive facilities. But then as soon as you walk away, maybe in a few months, in a few years, either the community, even though they are trained, but probably they are not experts in maintaining, in operating those systems. Or sometimes the system breaks, maybe they only need like a few $50 or $100. They put in like $15,000, $20,000 for something like $100. The thing does not function. So how do you approach the issue of operation and maintenance for the facilities we provide to communities?
For us, our approach when we provide like facilities in the communities, we also do like a training like for maintenance, how they can maintain like the facility, so that even if we are not there, they can be able like to take care of the facility. But those like in some areas that we have been like doing in terms of when we go do drilling water wells, installing like solar water pump, we do that like training that they can be able like to do it for themselves moving forward. But the areas that we have done and work with other organizations to do water wells for irrigation, they are also purposely, when they are growing, saving aside money once they sell their crops for maintenance. We do that. But for the community hubs that we have, it's still like we are still learning the community hub by ourselves with the connection with the schools. Some of the community hubs are being built at some they are at primary school, some at the high school. So we work closely with the school committees to make sure that the facility can be there for a long time. So the innovation center that we want to build, we're gonna continue learning it. So because we want to do much also in agriculture, we think that will be able to help us to sustain, to be able to maintain. But as we are a non-profit organization, we're still gonna be able like to look for like some donation. But at the same time, we are doing something that we could be in a long run, we could be able like to maintain it by using the money that we'll be able like to get through the agricultural activities that we're gonna be able to do at the Innovation Center.
Yeah, and to give a concrete example of something that we're developing now, for example, because we really do believe that a job shared is a job half done. Like, it's worked in our favor each time. And if it doesn't, we learn from it and then we improve. But so, for example, right now we are looking more into self-generated revenue streams, and we're looking to expand our e-mobility program. So we've noticed that change makers get really isolated in different communities. Like even in Malawi, like it's a small space with quotation marks, but it's quite challenging to meet and quite challenging to understand who's out there doing what work and how can we collaborate instead of stepping over each other and support and we can support each other. But this also requires kind of like this social entrepreneurship and kind of like business model mindset as well. And so we've currently partnered up with Pixera Global and SAP to help us build these business models and revenue generation streams that could work in our specific context, especially for this mobility piece. So this will be kind of like our piloting to also understand whether we can kind of create these entrepreneurial ecosystems even while we're doing the innovation piece and the community development piece, because we feel like that is such an important piece for sustainability as you're talking about. So yeah, so it's a lot of holistic approach to sustainable development. There was a question in this corner. Did she leave? Okay. Yes.
My name is Henk Holslag. I'm the advisor of the Smart Center Group in several countries. And I would like to share a few experiences and a few questions. First, our experience. We've been working for 20 years in innovation hubs in 9 countries in Africa and 1 in Nicaragua. And we have learned the hard way that it is very difficult to make a business model out of a training center. It's not to discourage you, because I really applaud the idea that people have to learn to use the things around them, to see what you can do with local materials and innovative ideas, so stimulate innovation. I think that is the way to go. So I really applaud that. But again, the lesson learned that we have at least is it's difficult to make it a business model. So you will depend on donations. But you could ask donations for each person that you have trained or each entrepreneur that you have delivered. That could be your business model. So that is one observation. I really also like the idea of combination with agriculture, because that is where Malawi has potential. And we work together, for instance, in Malawi with an organization called Tieni. And Tieni is promoting a system they call deep bed farming that is increasing the yields of rainbed or rain-fed crops like maize, with collecting all the rainwater, harvesting rainwater, infiltrating it in the soil, regenerative agriculture, and they increase yields of maize to 2 to 3 times. So that may be an interesting organization. I don't know if you know Tieni. Have you heard of Tieni?
Yes.
Anyway, they are in Mzuzu.
With Tieni, Tinese?
Yes.
Is that different?
It's a different.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, sorry.
another organization that is doing similar things, not in Malawi, but in Mozambique and I think Zimbabwe, is called Young Africa. They have done this also for 20 years. They train young entrepreneurs. So that's another organization. I don't know if you know them. If not, we can put you in contact. So this is another organization where you can learn from. So those were my 2 things, observations and questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you wanna?
No, thank you very much, like for some observation and also like some comment. I think we're gonna look into the TNE model. I think we are being like thinking of because of being connected to agriculture. Whenever we are doing like innovative in agriculture, we are sure that people that will be able to use it in either in different like communities, they can be able like they will be able like to some of the product we want to make, we'll be able to lend it out or also being able like to sell it out. So thank you for saying that we could charge the people that have gone through like the program. That's a way like to go, because also we want to as like farming like to be having like a practicing area that we could grow, but also we want a long-term goal is also to be able to facilitate the processing at the facility, that other people can bring in their own produce to get processes, so that we are not only like selling low form like crops, but we are also selling like already processed.
Yes, and we're kind of unique in that we own a lot of our own assets. So that really does put us in a very privileged position. So for example, we have our own drill for like drilling wells, and that actually is another form of like income generation, because we can be rented by organizations that can actually afford to pay us. And in terms of the value addition goods, we've invested a little bit in, and we hope to invest more in cold storage. So we have solar fridges and solar freezers, and we're hoping that we can kind of stimulate the economy of Malawi, or Kansungu specifically, to kind of be able to think about value addition goods and be able to sell those directly to like consumers. And because we have the mobility piece, they will have greater access to market, and that will be another revenue stream. So it's something that we've actually really thought about, and that's why we're working with consultants like SAP and Pixera Global that have the experience and have the connections and networks to help us really refine our business model. And then I wanted to also address the length of time. 20 years is a long time, but it's still not enough time to undo so much of the damage that has been done to a country like Malawi over such a long period of time. Like, we are very cognizant of the context that we work in, and we allow people the grace and the input and the time and the kind of understanding that is needed to work with people patiently and persistently, because we understand that this work that we're doing right now is not something that we are going to see the impact of until maybe, I don't know, 50 years, somebody will tell me and look back and say that, oh yes, you pushed the needle. And so we're aware that we're in it for the long run, and that it's like a legacy building work. And so we are going to do everything we can as smartly and as efficiently as possible, but keep aware that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah. And it's been an hour, so I don't want to keep you. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
But if you have any follow-up questions, our website is movingwindmills.org. And if you want to talk to us about the Innovation Center or our matching grant that is funded by the Bezos Family Foundation, I will be happy to have a conversation with you about it. And we are here for the rest of the conference, so thank you so much.